Today I am going to talk about how to unblock our creative flow. This happens a lot with all kinds of artists. It doesn't matter what your craft is, we all get creative blocks because we are creator beings. I'll be talking about what creates a block and what actually is a block. Or it could be that wall that we can't seem to get by or past. I'm also going to be talking about how to become aware when we are having this block and how to use this awareness for positive change. And then I have some things that we can practice to become aware of these blocks and how to practice our awareness so that we can get through it and let our creativity flow. I'm very passionate about this topic because I have had the most intense creative blocks that lasted for years. When you're in it, it's really hard to navigate it because most of the time what creates the creative block is our own minds. And there are these thoughts and deep beliefs and basically just a mental block that stops us from just receiving our creative ideas and then being excited about them and then just letting them flow out through us very easily, kind of just like a river. And if we kind of think of ourselves and our bodies and our minds and our spirit or whatever, how we work, it's like, things flow into us and then they should flow out of us. But when we have a creative block, sometimes whatever thoughts or, like I said, beliefs that we have that are so deep, maybe unconscious, maybe they're not even ours, that stop us from being stoked on these ideas and letting them flow. So it's like rocks in this river stopping that water flowing. And then what happens? We get constipated. We get creatively constipated. And everybody knows what happens when you get constipated. You get frustrated. You are not having fun, right? So essentially what this is about is, what my message is how can we learn to have fun being creative, and how can we be free flowing with our creative energy? And also, how can we learn to be aware of when we are creatively stuck or creatively constipated? I have done a lot of work on this, I guess, in college and after college. I feel like I was probably creatively constipated for years, many years. And it was like I was pushing so hard to make something that I thought with my mind was a good thing to make, that I was supposed to make, but it just didn't feel right. It wasn't fun. It was like I was forcing it and it was exhausting. So what I've learned in the past year or two was coming back to myself, coming back to my truth, coming back to what makes me happy, what makes me excited, what makes me freaking stoked to be oh my god, that's gonna be the most amazing thing to draw. It's so cool. I'm oh, I want to bring that to life. You see it in your eye, in your mind's eye, and you're just like a child with that excitement. You're let's do this and nothing's gonna stop me. And also it's more running with that energy of excitement of you don't know how it's gonna come out, but you just have this feeling of whatever's gonna happen, it's gonna be awesome. So I think that's really important when we have this inspiration and this idea, is to be okay with letting it come through however it needs to, and not forcing it, and not having expectations of, oh, it needs to be this way, it needs to be that way, because then we are limiting ourselves. With each idea and inspiration, there's an infinite amount of possibility that it can come out to. And it all depends on a million different things that happen when it's coming through. And we just have to allow it to be that way. But the idea is basically the essence, and all the little details of it will figure itself out on the way. So what is that block or that wall that we're actually banging our head against? What is actually stopping us? It is an aspect of ourself that wants to keep us safe. It is actually us. And what created it to be there, could have been something or somebody else that, put those thoughts there or told us that. And it kind of grew and grew until it got so big that it's like now stopping the true self, our true selves, to keep flowing. So our job is to become aware of what aspect of ourself is this that's blocking us from our fullest expression, and then just, compassionately taking it down. But it's not permanent, and it can be changed. The way we can heal our creative flow if we feel that we are creatively constipated. Okay, I gotta stop saying that word. I don't like that word. It's weird. Creatively backed up, like we are not free flowing with our ideas, our inspirations, is being aware of when we are not flowing. So with anything in life, with higher and open, wider awareness, we can change. Awareness of pain, awareness of patterns within ourselves. If we don't like it, then we can change it when we are aware of it. So with that kind of key, you can unlock your potential. We can basically mold ourselves however we want to be with awareness of our actions. When we become aware of our creative flow and being stuck, we can say, well, how am I stuck? Being stuck might feel like you're banging your head against the wall. It's like, I can't get this out. You might feel these thoughts coming in like, I really want to do this project. I really want to work on it. But then it's just like not happening. You're like, why isn't this happening? Why can't I just start it? Why can't I just maybe finish it? Other examples of creative blocks, how they can manifest and look like, is abandoning projects, like forgetting about them, having so many ideas but none of them are coming to fruition. It's like we like getting the inspiration and the ideas, but actually grounding them into the world and bringing them to life is the hardest part. That is another sign of like a creative block, and these are all ones that I've experienced, so if there's probably more that other people experience, but those are the most obvious and common things. It's like we can't just get it out of our mind into the world, from spirit space to the physical. So it's just kind of a block in materializing our ideas. And so how do we remove that rock or that block within ourselves? With awareness. What's stopping me? Okay, let me use an example. With me, it's been like, it's not going to be good enough. This is like a weird idea. Why am I going to draw this weird idea? Some other blocks that I've had were also just fear of the unknown. Like, oh my God, I've never done this before. I don't know how to do that. How am I gonna da 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 da? So, yeah, it's just a lot of it has been fear of the unknown. And usually the unknown can also be a source of excitement if we perceive that as an exciting thing, like a surprise. Like if someone, like your birthday, it's gonna be your birthday and you don't know what's gonna happen, but you know it's gonna be fun, and you're jumping into that unknown with the anticipation of this is gonna be awesome. So it can be the exact opposite of the unknown if we're jumping into that void space with a fear of, oh my god, what am I gonna do? I don't know this, da da da. And then once you kind of navigate those thoughts that are coming in and stopping you, you can be like, well, do I really believe that? I had this inspiration. I wanted to draw it because I thought it was cool. So we can overcome our own blocks just by like slowing down and kind of meditating, or however you want to like slow your mind down and really dig deep within yourself. Take the time to be aware of your thoughts. That's going to change your entire life, and it did for me. Now that we can spot the signs when we are creatively blocked, we can use this awareness to create a positive change within ourselves. So there's about 5 things I've put together that we can start practicing. Number 1, be compassionate to ourselves. We are definitely not our thoughts. And so when these thoughts start to arise, we can realize them with our awareness, like, oh, hey, is that me, or is that something else that is deep inside of me is stopping me? Just have the realization that none of these thoughts are actually who we are. They're just like thoughts. They just come up, you know? So if we're aware of these thoughts, we can kind of weed them out, be like, that's me, that's not me, that's me. Number 2, mantras. So when we do have thoughts that aren't bringing us to our best, we can pause and say a mantra like, hey, let's just have fun when starting a project. Or, I wonder how this is going to turn out. I bet it's going to be super awesome. Like, it could be anything that makes you feel uplifted. Number 3, our expectations of ourselves. Maybe they're too high. Maybe we don't need any expectations at all. Number 4, persistence. How to be persistent is just focusing on doing what makes us feel good and happy, excited, and having a positive anticipation, as I like to think about it. And number 5 is actually setting the time and space to let our creativity flow. It's important that we find our safe place, that we can kind of let ourselves just be us and let our ideas flow out. There we have it. I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to. I could probably add more stuff, but that is the essence, and it came out how it needed to come out. So I hope that helps and brings some light into some places that maybe you weren't aware of before. And if you have any questions, hit me up. You know where to comment, I guess, and I'll always reply. Love you guys. See you on the flip side.